Surah Yusuf. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولو شاء ربك لجعل الناس أمة واحدة ولا يزالون مختلفين إلا من رحم ربك ولذلك خلقهم وتمت كلمة ربك لأملأن جهنم من الجنة والناس أجمعين وكلا نقص عليك من أنباء الرسل ما نثبت به فؤادك وجاءك في هذه الحق وموعظة وذكرى للمؤمنين وقل للذين لا يؤمنون اعملوا على مكانتكم إنا عاملون وانتظروا إنا منتظرون ولله غيب السماوات والأرض وإليه يرجع الأمر كله فاعبده وتوكل عليه وما ربك بغافل عما تعملون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام را تلك آيات الكتاب المبين إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين صدق الله العلي العظيم. Continue with the conversation from yesterday. The surah is now wrapping up and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking the main points from the surah and He's generally answering some of the thoughts and some of the objections that the early Muslims may have had. One of the thoughts that perhaps appeared in the mind of the early Muslim is that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has control over everything and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable of all things, then why not make these people who are not believers believe? If the goal is to make them believe, why doesn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala force them to believe? Or why shouldn't we force them to believe in one way or another? Right? And you find that even those questions come to us today in this day and age as well. Just on Friday, a brother came from outside the community and the first question that he had for me is that he perhaps may not have been Shia. So he said, brother, when I look at the Ummah, I see there's Shia, there's Sunnah, there's Salafi, there's Wahhabi. How come we have so much ikhtilaf within the Ummah? Shouldn't we all be united and have the same set of beliefs and the same set of ideologies? So it's the same question that is also coming up in his mind as well. One of the things Allah points out in this particular verse now, it's not mentioned directly, but this is the principle. Allah says that we have given every human being an aql. And aql means that every human being is going to have something that even Allah doesn't want to take away from them. That is free will, the freedom to choose. Inna hadaynahu as-sabila, we have guided him to the path. Imma shakiran wa imma kafura. Now he has got to choose whether he's going to be grateful or he's going to be ungrateful. Allah doesn't take the choice away from the person. Allah wants people to choose themselves to come onto the right path and do the right thing. And Allah says, if we wanted, we could have from the beginning taken this choice away from you. For example, look at the bees. They don't have a choice. And because they don't have a choice, they don't have any difference of opinion amongst them either. Right? Every bee knows what it is supposed to do. Right? There's no discussion amongst the bees, are we supposed to make honey? Are we not supposed to make honey? And then you've got one group of bees that say, no, we're not supposed to make honey. Another group of bees says, no, we are supposed to make honey. Or no bee says, you know what, am I supposed to be like a worker bee? Or am I supposed to be a honey-making bee? There's no difference of opinion there. Those who are worker bees do the work of worker bees. Those who are guardian bees do the work of guardian bees, for example. Well, Allah has got creatures like that. He has a goal for them, and whether they like it or not, they fulfill that goal because they have no freedom, because they have no aql. Right? But Allah says, human beings, we did not make them like that. And because we did not make them like that, you will always find that in human society, generally, there is going to be a difference of opinion. And yes, there are going to be different schools of thought. And yes, there will be people who believe, and there will be people who do not believe, right? Now, let's look at the verse. وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ, and had your Lord willed, لَجَعَلَ النَّاسَ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. The way bees are, the way, for example, other animals are, He could have made human beings as one ummah. One ummah meaning what? All of them being Muslims. All of them being Shia, for example, right? But Allah has not done that. Meaning what? He's not taken their free will away from them. He's not taken their aql away from them. Because of that, what's going to happen? وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. Therefore, they will not stop having differences of opinion amongst each other. Now, is that the case for every ummah? Is that the case for every community? That every community there's going to be always differences of opinion, and there will be people who believe and those who don't believe? Right? Allah says no. إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّكَ, except for those who receive the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you see during the time of the Holy Prophet, people were united under the banner of the Holy Prophet. Right? When the 12th Imam comes, people will be united under the banner of the 12th Imam, right? Because they have the special rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, one thing we've pointed out so many times before, if you come to the tafsir sessions, that's a principle you know, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His rahmah is not haphazard. I want to give to this person and I don't want to give to that person. No. A person must show that he deserves the rahmah of Allah. He wants the rahmah of Allah. He wants to be guided. Here, rahmah means hidayah. He wants the guidance from Allah. The community must show they want to be united and they want the guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will give it to them. Question. You know, Qur'an will say, you want to learn? You have got to learn to ask questions. So a lot of people are going to be having differences of opinion, right? And many of them are going to be on the wrong path. For example, you've heard a hadith from the Holy Prophet, you know, in my ummah there will be 72 or 73 different denominations, one on the right path, the rest on the wrong path. And then there will be some who will be on the right path. Question. Has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created people to put them into Jahannam? If majority are going to be on the wrong path? Allah says no. We want everybody to be on the right path. We want everybody to go to Jannah. Right? Allah says, look at the verse that comes right after what we recited. Right? It says, وَلِذَلِكَ خَلَقَهُمْ, and it is for that Allah has created them. وَلِذَلِكَ, ذَلِكَ is what? That. It is for that Allah has created them. Question for you, what is that? What is the dhalika referring to? So just look at the verse before. إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّكَ, except for those who have received what? The rahmah of Allah, and it is for that, meaning for what? For having the rahmah upon people that we have created them. Right? The poet in Farsi says, that, you know, I didn't create because I wanted to get anything. I created because I wanted to have rahmah. I wanted to give. Allah says we created everybody because we wanted to give hidayah and rahmah to them. But one thing we're not going to do is take away their free will from them. They have to choose it. Right? And then Allah says, if they don't choose it, what will happen? وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ, and the word of your Lord is completed. لَأَمْلَأَنَّ, He is going to fill. Fill what? Fill what? Jahannam. Jahannam مِنَ الْجِنَّةِ وَالنَّاسِ أَجْمَعِينَ, with the jinn and the human beings all together. Then Allah says, now why have we told you all of these stories? The story of Hud, the story of Nuh, the story of Salih, وَكُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ, and we have told you كُلًّا, all of these stories, we have narrated them for you, مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ, from the stories of the Prophet. For what reason? لِنُثَبِّتَ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. Nuthabbit comes from the word tathbeet. Tathbeet means to make firm. You know when you recite the ziyarah of Ashura, you say, وَثَبِّتْ لِي عِنْدَكَ قَدَمَ صِدْقٍ. Oh Allah, make firm my qadam, my footing. Make it firm, make it truthful. Right? وَلِنُثَبِّتَ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ, because we want to make firm what? Your fu'ad. What is fu'ad? Fu'ad is qalb. We want to make firm your heart. Right? You know, it's very interesting. People who struggle, they also need encouragement. And Allah says to the Holy Prophet, even you're struggling, you also need something. You need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen your heart, to make firm your determination. And one of the ways we're doing that is by narrating to you the stories of the previous prophets. And we have a duty as well to learn and every year go through the stories of the previous prophets and our imams, so that it makes our determination firm as well. Sometimes it's very interesting. I ask some brothers or sisters in the community, they say, Maulana, faith is weak. I say, okay. You come for Thursday night majlis? No. You listen to lectures? No. You recite the Qur'an? No. Okay. You read books? No. Like Islamic books? No. So what's your problem? My faith is weak. I say, okay. The Prophet of Allah is being told, we're telling you these stories and we're repeating them in the Qur'an. We did Surah Hud. Before Surah Hud, it was Surah of Yunus. What was in the Surah of Yunus? Sometimes the same story was in the Surah of Yunus. We're repeating these stories to strengthen your heart, because even you as a prophet need constant ilham from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What about us? Then Allah says in the Qur'an, this Qur'an, the stories of the Qur'an are the best motivations in life. They will strengthen your heart, and other stories can't do the same thing. What's the reason for that? Let's look at it. So the Qur'an says, وَجَاءَكَ فِي هَذِهِ, and in this book what has come to you is what? Al-Haq, the truth. Fiction, no matter how well it's written, a movie, no matter how good it is, even if it's as good as the Titanic, and people are crying while watching the movie, it can never strengthen your heart. You know why? Because it's not based on haq, it's based on batil. You watch movies, some people listen to music, they say, I feel stronger in my heart. No, you just feel emotions, that's all there is, emotions. If you want your heart to be strengthened, read the stories of the Qur'an, stories of the Ahlul Bayt. Listen to stories which are haq, which are true. Number one. Number two, وَمَوْعِظَةً, and in this book there is a maw'idah, an admonishment for you. So these stories are told with a particular goal in mind, to advise you and to admonish you. وَذِكْرَى لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and it's a reminder for the believers. Those things you already know, it's going to be strengthening those things for you. Then Allah tells the Holy Prophet, وَقُلْ لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ عَمَلُوا عَلَى مَكَانَتِكُمْ إِنَّا عَامِلُونَ. Allah has given you free will, Allah has given us free will as well. So there is no need for us to argue now. There's no need for us to debate. There's no need for you to boast or for us to boast. You have your free will, you go do your thing. اعملوا على مكانتكم. You act according to what you believe. إِنَّا عَامِلُونَ. And we're also very confident. We don't have to prove anything. We're going to continue acting upon our beliefs, right? Well, وَانْتَظِرُوا. You wait. إِنَّا مُنْتَظِرُونَ. We're waiting as well. Be patient. Let's see what time tells us. And we saw in the time of the Holy Prophet, the Prophet of Allah became victorious. But then Allah also tells the believers, as you're waiting, you need to have faith and you need to put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? Because Allah says for two reasons. Number one, Allah knows everything. Number two, Allah controls everything. Nothing is outside the control of Allah. A person is strong if he has knowledge and he has power. Sometimes a person has power, but they don't have knowledge. They just need to look down south. And sometimes a person has knowledge, but they don't have power. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has knowledge of the seen and the unseen. He has power over all things. So He is most deserving of your worship, and He is most deserving of your trust. Look at the verse. وَلِلَّهِ غَيْبُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. The ghaib of the heavens and the earth belong to Allah. وَإِلَيْهِ يُرْجَعُ الْأَمْرُ كُلُّهُ. And to Him returns all of the affairs without exception. If that's the case, فَأْبُدْهُ. Then you serve Him. وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَيْهِ. And put your trust in Him. وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. And Allah is not oblivious, He's not unaware when you act. That brings Surah Hud to an end. We now begin with Surah Yusuf. It is the 12th surah of the Holy Qur'an. It is a surah which is a Makki surah. It was revealed in Mecca. And it is a surah which is very unique in the sense that over 100 verses talk about one story, and they talk about that story in a very chronological manner. We have stories of other prophets in the Qur'an. For example, one of the prophets whose story has been mentioned the most in the Qur'an is the story of Prophet Musa, right? However, even the story of Prophet Musa never is it mentioned in a chronological manner, where he starts off as a baby and he ends up as an old man, for example. It comes as fragments in the Qur'an, except for one exception, and that is the story of Prophet Yusuf in the Surah of Yusuf. From the beginning it is mentioned almost all the way to the end. Okay? It's a very beautiful story. And we're going to go through it, inshallah, God willing, together. Now, with respect to Surah Yusuf, I should mention one thing, because sometimes when you are reading the Tafsir of the Surah, you come across this, so you should know. In the hadith we're told, do not allow women to recite Surah Yusuf. Yeah. And they say, why not allow them? Because there's the story of Zulaykha in there, and maybe the ideas that Zulaykha had, maybe they'll start getting those ideas, so don't allow them to recite them. There's hadith to that. Then the scholars explain, you see, number one, these ahadith, they're very weak in their transmission. They don't have a strong transmission. Number two, it's good that they recite it, because the purpose of the Qur'an is to take a message. Look at Prophet Yusuf, whether men or women. Look at Prophet Yusuf. He remained on the right path, even though it was difficult, he was successful in the end. Those who remained on the wrong path, even though it was easy, they became what? Unsuccessful in the end. So if a person reads that, that's the message they're going to take away from it. And thirdly, we have a hadith that clearly say both men and women should be reciting this surah, so there is no problem in reciting it. In the hadith we're told, whoever recites this surah, even if you can once during the day, any particular day in your lifetime perhaps, inshallah, or you make a habit of reciting the surah, then whoever does this, in the hadith it says, on the day of judgment, جَمَالُهُ مِثْلُ جَمَالِ Yusuf. His beauty, his handsomeness on the day of judgment will be like that of Prophet Yusuf. وَلَا يُهِيبُهُ فَزَعْ يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. And the frightening things of the day of judgment are not going to frighten him. Prophet Yusuf was on the cave, right? He was not in the cave, he was in the well. He wasn't frightened. He was in the prison. He wasn't frightened, right? In the same way, a person who recites it on the day of judgment, he's not going to be frightened. وَكَانَ مِنْ خِيَارِ عِبَادِ اللَّهِ الصَّالِحِينَ. And he will become, if he continues to recite it, amongst the best of God's righteous servants. Okay, Alif Lam Ra. Alif Lam Ra, Huruf al-Muqatta'at. We've spoken about them before. تِلْكَ آيَاتُ الْكِتَابِ الْمُبِينِ. Those are the verses of a clear book. Those, meaning, yes, the verses are with you, but the meaning of these verses are far away from you. You have to struggle to understand those meanings. You have to put effort to understand the reality of the Qur'an. The reality of the Qur'an comes from a place very high above you. These verses are actually manifesting those realities. But to understand that, you will have to struggle. Do I have to struggle because the Qur'an is not clear enough? Allah says no. تِلْكَ آيَاتُ الْكِتَابِ الْمُبِينِ. What does mubin mean? A book which is very clear. It's not because the Qur'an is not clear. It's because your own life has made it complicated. You're attached to the dunya, right? You are so accustomed to the dunya that some of the higher realities now don't make sense to you. That's going to be your struggle. but not the clarity of the Qur'an. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. We have revealed it an Arabic recitation so that you may be able to use your intellect. So number one, they used to tell the Holy Prophet, these stories that you have, you're getting them from outside of Arabia, you're getting them from the Ajam. So Allah is telling them, but this book that he is reciting with the poetry that's coming in it, or with the eloquence that's coming in it, is in Arabic. So we've given it to him in Arabic, so that you may think that it's not coming from outside of Arabia, it's coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, we have revealed it in the Arabic because this book, telling the people of Arabia, is not a book of rituals, that all we want you to do is to kiss it and put it on your head and keep it in your homes. And no, we revealed it in Arabic because we know you understand Arabic, because we want you to read this book, because we want you to understand this book, because we want you to think about this book, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, so that you use your aql. Number three, what about us? Let's say if you don't speak Arabic, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obviously has to reveal the Qur'an in one language. There is no one universal language that everybody understands. But Allah says we revealed it in the Arabic language. And one of the reasons could be that the Arabic language is a language that has a lot of depth in meaning. You look at any one word, I don't think in any other language a word can have such a depth in meaning that it does in the Arabic language. We don't have time for it right now, but I could give you examples where you look at one word and how many different meanings and what are the root meanings of it. That's important. Why? Because the Qur'an in every generation, in every era, it gives new meaning. It becomes relevant. And the way it's able to become relevant is because of what? The depth of meaning that the language is able to carry. So we have revealed to you the Qur'an in the Arabic language so that people of every society would be able to intellect it and take meaning away from it. One last point over here and we'll end. نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن. We are narrating to you, telling you the best of stories by which we have revealed the Qur'an. So here the Mufassirin have a difference of opinion. Some of them say the best of stories refers to the story of Prophet Yusuf. Some of them say the best of stories refers to the whole of the Qur'an. Sometimes an incident, or sometimes, for example, a narration is called a qissa. And Allah is saying the Qur'an itself, you can think of it some ways as being a qissa. In any case, the story of Yusuf is one of the best of stories. Why? Because Allah Tabaraka says, this story teaches you how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has wilayah, has authority over the believers. Those who love Him, how He takes them from where they are and brings them close to Him. The story of Yusuf is the story of Tawheed, oneness, in servitude, in ubudiyah. That the one who serves God and loves God and purely God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes him from where people put him in dhillah and He brings him into great izzah as long as a person has taqwa and ikhlas in his heart. That's why it is one of the best of stories, right? And there's so much we can learn from it, and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us the tawfiq to learn from the inspiration of the Surah of Yusuf and to practice some of it in our lives. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.